thunder roared, and the ship was rocked between the waves. Its crew was tossed from side to side. Only the most experienced of sailors managed to keep their feet. The sky lit up as lightning strikes a wave not 30 paces from the port side. "Stand ready! Secure the steering blanket!"
It's called a mast.
See? Already smarter than your old man. Okay. "Secure the mast," called out Captain Jack Harkness in his captainiest of voices. And they did. His crew busied themselves about doing all the things that sailors are supposed to do in a storm such as this. Captain Jack, he made his way up to the center pole, all the way to the watch basket at the top.
Crow's nest.
What?
The lookout basket thingy. It is called a crow's nest.
How do you... You know what? It's late. Do you want to hear the end of the story or not?
Tell me.
So, Captain Jack makes his way up to the crow's nest and pulls out his looking glass. The Eye of Desna. He pulls it out and spins himself around. Captain Jack, you see, he knows something ain't right. The way the waves are moving, the way of the sea whirling below him. He knows something's pulling them away from the direction they ought to be going. He spins about, and below the waves he spies the shadow of two gigantic heads that seem to be snapping at each other, as if bickering about who gets the first taste of the crew. He drops the Eye of Desna, and with one foot on the edge of the watch basket, he draws his blade, the rapier that struck fear into the hearts of his enemies. The fearsome blade known as Star Song. As he does so, two giant snakeheads erupt from the water. The first, they sink their fangs into the back of the ship. The other lies in wait for the first crew member to slip to the stern. "Baomal!" he shouts. The cries echo through his crew, and he leaps from the crow's nest, Star Song extended out, ready to drive it through the snout of one of the giant heads.
Does he make it?
You've heard this story before, my dear.
I know, but does he make it? What happens to the crew of the Pashman?
Well, I guess we'll have to find out tomorrow night.
One day, I'm going to have my own ship, and my own fearsome blade.
In a day not long from this one, you may have one of my ships. Now good night, little Izori. Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Pathfinder 2nd Edition and the lore that surrounds them.
Hello there, creatures. Welcome to another episode of Encounter This, episode 103. Can't wait till we have to go to 4 digits.
What? I didn't even consider 4 digits.
Welcome to episode 1042. Today, my dear partner in crime, James Chalona Kidd, will be bringing me, Freeman Gamera Eiston, through a creature I don't know how to pronounce. Happy coincidence, 2 in a row. If you want to follow along, hit up the bestiary, the first bestiary of Pathfinder 2nd Edition on page 35 for the creature that is called...
I'm going with Baomal.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
So it looks like bow is in like a bow bun.
Yeah.
And then mall. So that works.
Yeah. So there's not a whole lot on this creature, period. So we're
okay.
Trying to find a pronunciation was just an exercise in futility.
Gotcha. So you went with a heavy one for your first 2E guy, and then now you're gone for a simple one.
I try and alternate between like deep research and like chill.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah. So my next one's probably going to be a pretty big one, but
Okay. What do we got? What's the Baomal all about?
yeah. So let's take it to the game lore. In 2E, there's not much information, as with everything. We're going to start here with a quote, and it's, "Few sea monsters are as dreaded and feared as the two-headed Baomal."
Oh, we've got another
So
sea
this
monster.
creature. Yeah. Yeah, this
Okay.
just sort of happened.
All right.
But it's another turtle.
All right. So you've really made it complicated for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a massive predatory two-headed turtle. The heads are said to be snake-like, so they have the bifurcated jaw and these longer necks. And
Yep.
they have a lot of fangs and spiked
Yep.
necks and spiked flippers. The forward flippers specifically.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, also looks like a dinosaur, sort of. So that's
Yeah.
that's pretty proper for you, for the likes of you.
Yeah, I honestly chose it because I liked the way the name read.
Okay.
I liked how Baumel read in the table of contents. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do this one.
That was kind of me and the Dwemer cat too. So
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I like the look of that.
Just happened to turn out to be another high CR giant turtle.
Okay, sure. Might as well cover all the bases.
Exactly. Yeah. So they dwell in the deepest waters, and they compete with krakens for food. So that should give you a pretty good idea of how high the CR
Whoa.
are in these creatures. Yeah.
Okay, they compete with the Kraken.
Yeah.
Didn't when we covered the Kraken, wasn't it like going along deep rivers and destroying coastline cities?
Yep.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. They tend to eat whales and other large sea creatures. Sometimes they'll hunt them to the surface. And once at the surface, every now and again, they'll learn about like boats and ships and how delicious their crew can be. They will then use the spikes on their necks and flippers to rip open the hull and leisurely feed on the drowning crew.
Leisurely.
That is a direct quote from the bestiary. I double checked that it wasn't just our
imagine like
thrown in
the
flavor.
thing's destroyed, all of the crew are on, like holding on the floating planks, and this thing just flips on its back. And it's just like a gentle, like kind of just backstroke waiting, and just occasionally
Yep.
It's so good.
Two heads just playing tug of war with the human body every now and again.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Just basking in the screams of terror.
Pretty much. Or the strangulated screams of terror, I guess.
Yeah.
So normally I summarize the sidebar for these creatures, but I really liked how this one was written. So this is going to be a direct quote right from the bestiary from Paizo.
All right.
It's called Mysterious Origins.
Classic.
Yeah.
We got a lot of those.
All too often, those who study stranger monsters make the assumption that they were created by powerful but ill-advised wizards, or are the result of ancient manipulations from the Agalothu Empire. In the case of the Baomal, extensive research suggests that neither of these explanations are accurate. No ancient texts have yet been recovered in which a wizard claims to have created the first Baomal, and while the Agalothu today use them as war beasts, ancient carvings suggest in the earliest days Baomals were ravenous hunters of Agalothus.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs who used to eat essentially Paizo's trademark monster.
I love it.
Yeah.
They're as ancient as time, as ancient as the creation of the material world. I'm here for it.
Pretty much. I looked in 1E and they did not exist, so there's no reference material there. These are strictly, as far as I can tell, a 2E specific creature. So that brings us to the next chapter of the show.
Mythology and Folklore.
I appreciate the Duffy voice. So, like I said, these are pretty much a unique creature to Baomal, or to Pathfinder 2E. So this is going to be just a little bit of tangentially related mythology about turtles, And then just some straight up turtle facts because I thought they were interesting.
Turtles are cool. Let's be honest.
So we'll start with Greek and a nymph called Chelone or Chelona, meaning tortoise in Greek, refused to attend the wedding of Zeus and Hera. According to Aesop, this is the origin of the I guess quote. She replies to them, "Be it ever so humble, there is no place like home."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hermes immediately swooped down and punted her and her house into the ocean, making her the first tortoise.
Wait, you made her a tortoise? Aren't tortoises non-swimmers?
Yes and no. They can swim, but for the most part, it seems like the Greek didn't discriminate between tortoises and turtles.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't discriminate or differentiate.
Yes, correct. So
they were the same, and we ate them just the same.
Yeah. So later on, according to Homer, Hermes would then stretch cord across the hollowed shell of a turtle, creating the first lyre, then gifting it to Apollo, who is normally depicted with a lyre. So we have Chelona and Hermes to thank for Apollo's trademark lyre, and Hermes for technically inventing stringed instruments.
What a clever man.
Yes, correct. We'll shift over to Roman real quick here. And this is a direct quote from the Aeneid. Again, I just love Virgil's prose, so this is a direct quote. For his wedding with Juno, Jupiter ordered Mercurius to invite all the gods and men and the animals to the wedding. Everyone invited by Mercurius came except for Chelone, who did not deign to be there, mocking the wedding. When Mercurius noted her absence, he went back down to earth, threw in the river the house of Chelone that was standing over the river, and changed Chelone into an animal that would bear her name. And Chelone is Tetsudo, or tortoise in Latin. So again, we've got the same origin. It's the same nymph story. It's just told by Virgil, who came way later than both Aesop and Homer, or the man we think was Homer. Sorry, the person we think was Homer.
Okay. I just love the whole house went in with it. It's just it's so ridiculous.
seems like a bit of overkill, but here we are.
Yeah.
So that is going to bring us to turtle facts, I guess. So I'm about to put an image on the screen, and this is your content warning. This is I want to say grotesque, but I think it's pretty adorable. So leave it up to you listeners.
Unnerving?
Maybe. So to spoil it before I throw it up there, it is a two-headed turtle.
Okay. Oh, cool. Oh.
So two-headed turtles are rare, but they're not unknown. In 1999, a three-headed turtle was born in Tanin, Taiwan. And in 2005, an olive ridley sea turtle in Costa Rica. This one in particular was discovered in Malaysia in 2022, and as far as I can tell, is still alive. It's very rare that they survive. There are a couple. There's one called Juno who's still alive. But this one is particularly interesting because Juno's a tortoise. This is a sea turtle. And they have been able to identify that the right head is the dominant head, but both heads respond to external stimuli differently. So they're technically independent, even though one is working.
Oh, okay. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So one's in control and the other one's along for the ride, but they're their own person. They're their own person.
Yep. Yeah. Pretty much.
That's pretty neat. Pretty neat. I mean, I think it's pretty neat given that it's obviously a natural mutation of some kind, I would assume. But a lot of times things like that result in an early death for a lot of animals.
So this is just a small portion of the two-headed turtles. There's actually like a Wikipedia link of all the two-headed turtles that exist out there. So
cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat to see that it happens and it's kind of functional. It's rare, but it's common enough for us to have some records, which is neat.
Yeah, exactly. So next is actually just turtle facts. We're just going to run through the 7 types of sea turtle. This is a hawksbill sea turtle.
What show are we on?
This is a loggerhead.
Loggerhead drinks a lot of beer.
Yep. This is an olive ridley.
Okay.
This is a green sea turtle. This is a flatback.
Okay.
And this is a leatherback.
Oh, leatherbacks are so cool.
Yeah. And finally, this is a Kemp's ridley.
Okay.
So
Very
the interesting
cool.
thing about sea turtles is that 6 of these 7 different types are threatened with extinction. The 7th one, the flatback, there just isn't enough info to know how at risk they are.
Oh, brutal. So it's like, that's almost worse.
So it's safe to assume that all 7 of these sea turtles are threatened with extinction.
Wild. So I don't think I mentioned it in the spiritual episode, but I was recently in Zanzibar and I actually went to a sea turtle sanctuary where they had this sort of, it was really cool. It was like a natural sort of reservoir on the island of Zanzibar where seawater fed in, and they had they would basically rescue injured sea turtles and place them in here to live and recover. And you could just walk down these like stone steps. It was all really rugged, and you just got in there, and they just like swam right up to you, and you could just touch them and whatever. And they would nip you a little bit, but they give you like seaweed to like feed them, and you're supposed to hold it over. Don't hand it to them, because they'll just bite you, kind of thing. But they didn't seem to mind at all that anyone was around, but they also did not care if they got you. So it was really fun. It was really neat.
They're pretty chill, but they're also kind of mean. Do you know what kind of sea turtles it was?
I was just saying, can you go back to the olive ridley one?
Yeah, this is the flatback. That's the green. That's the olive ridley.
That was it. That was the one. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
So cool. And like some of them were so much bigger than I was expecting, and I was like, that is a dinosaur.
Yeah.
This is so
hold on
cool.
to that because we'll get into that.
Okay.
So there are just a couple of interesting turtle facts here, other than the fact that they're all pretty much threatened with extinction. All this information comes from the World Wildlife Foundation, so that will all be available in the show notes in both the episode description and on our blog.
Sweet.
Turtle shells start out as 50 different bones that eventually get fused together. So essentially, they wear their bones on the outside.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Their internal skeletons are light, spongy bones that are specifically designed to give them buoyancy.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and this next fact is why I just started including a bunch of random turtle facts. There is almost no documentation of the first 20 years of a turtle's life. They just go into the ocean and fucking disappear for 20 years and then just show back up.
And then they're like, oh, I'm around. Hello. That's wild.
Kinda, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I guess they don't tag them early, I guess.
No, they can't.
No.
They get they're so small.
Yeah.
So this guy, the Kemp's Ridley, this is the smallest. They average about 40 kilograms or 88 pounds, which is about 2 SUV tires.
Okay.
And they grow to be about 70 centimeters or 2.3 feet. So they're not small, but they're not huge.
Mm-hmm.
The largest of these guys are the leatherbacks. These average around 500 kilos or 1,102 pounds, which is about the weight of a grand piano. Yeah.
Whoa.
And they grow to 480 centimeters, 4.8 meters, or 5.9 feet. And that's on average. They can get bigger, for sure.
Holy crap. They're almost as tall as me, lengthwise.
Yeah. So here's this turtle size chart that I found from a group called Peppermint Narwhal. This is used without permission. From what I can tell, they're a conservation group, but their website tells me nothing. Though they do have a really cool Instagram full of beautiful infographics and stuff like that. They're also linked in the description. You can see the leatherback is essentially just a little bit larger than an average human being. They're not small.
I had no idea they could be that big. I thought the ones I saw were big. That's crazy. Look, they're like the second smallest one, or the smallest one. Even. What the hell? Well, there's my world shattered.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And speaking of getting to hang out with sea turtles, these are a couple of photos from my second dive, I think. And these are green sea turtles. So for the record, I'm 1.89 meters or about 6'2", and I've been that way since these photos were taken. I think I was about 15 at this point, so I may have been a little bit smaller.
Whoa.
But to put this into perspective, that's me at 6'2", and that is a green sea turtle, and they are not anywhere near the largest.
Wow, that is so gnarly. That is awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and I've been like snorkeling with Olive Ridley's and stuff like that off the coast of Barbados, but this was in this was a swim up enclosure in Curacao. So they what they did was they set, like, they penned off this this part of the ocean, like off the dock. And then they would have these different sections where different animals would be encouraged to swim up. So these are wild turtles. They would just have a bucket of feed there for the wild turtles that they would just swim in. There was also like sharks and stuff. I did black fins and hammerheads in the same dive. And I met my first stingray here and stuff like that. And that was really neat.
Wow.
So it was human. It was ethical. These weren't captured sea turtles. They were just encouraged, gently encouraged.
Yeah, I wish I knew this was the topic at hand today, because I would have dug out some of the Zanzibar photos of the sea turtles I saw. But we also saw tortoises. We went to a tortoise sanctuary, and they were big. Those big round shells on them, and you could just go over and like pat them on the head, and we're feeding them as well, just some greens, whatever. And they were humping all over the place. Oh yeah, they were just making noises. Oh, it's just like all over the place. They was really funny, and they were super, super cool.
Nice. In the summertime, there's a guy who I often see around the Main Street Brewery who has like a 112-year-old tortoise. And he just walks it on a leash, and the tortoise has a sign taped to his shell that says, "I'm 102 years old. Follow me on Instagram," or something like that. And you can just go up and feed it and pet it. It was really cool. Yeah. He's
I remember the sanctuary. They had like a cage with all these little babies in it. They're like, we have to keep them in here for a certain number of years, and then the next ones, and you could see on their backs, like they were like had numbers painted on them to try and keep track of how old they were. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, crazy.
I wish I could remember how old the oldest one was, but it was not young.
Yeah, no, like 100 is apparently just like a chill. It's like a cool 30 for them. Like,
no biggie. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, we haven't been able to properly establish how long tortoises live because we haven't consistently measured, because they outlive us by such a large quantity.
Yeah. Really cool.
But that will bring us to the pop culture section of the show. There isn't much here, as always. Yep. So I've got this dope picture of Gamera, who is awesome.
Oh, that's how you say it.
The Godzilla counterpart in Japanese cinema. And I think this was from the second Gamera movie, which is like the mid to late 60s.
Okay.
I'm definitely more of a Godzilla fan than a Gamera fan. His painted eyes always made him look goofy to me.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Chilona's Rise, which is a location in a game called Elden Ring. And it's a mission, maybe? I don't know. It's in a place called the Moonlight Altar Plateau. And it's apparently just full of ghost tortoises.
Okay. Yeah. So you asked me about this, and I didn't know why. I was very confused. I don't think I've been there in the game. The game is very big, and I did quickly Google it and saw where it's on one of the maps for the game. And if I remember correctly, it's like one of those places that like teases you when you get there, because you cannot find a way to get up on top, but there's a place on top. And I think it takes you can't get to later, something like that. So it's like a late game, really like secretive kind of spot. I think. Don't quote me on that. Okay. But that's fun. There's been a few instances of ghostly tortoises in that game, but that's cool that it's just like full of them. That's fun.
Yeah, apparently they spawn here, I guess. I don't know. I didn't
Okay.
look too much into it. I don't care about Elden Ring.
Okay. Sure. But that's a really neat nod to an actual, like,
Yeah,
legend and myth, though, right? That's really, really cool.
that's why I included it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd have more to say on it because I know you're an Elden Ring guy, or you were
Yeah.
at one
No,
point.
I haven't played it for quite some time, but
Okay.
yeah. Listeners,
Well,
phone in. Tell us about your experiences at Shalonna's Lands.
lines are open.
The lines are wide open.
While they do that, while they dial in, let us dial in the mechanics.
Mechanics. Okay, you said this is another high CR. I mean, it has to be if it's contending with the Kraken. And by CR, I mean creature level. Changing our
creature level. It hasn't changed in the template.
What do you got? What do you got?
20.
20. Okay. Spiritual was 21?
Yep.
22? Yeah. Cool. All right. Big beefy boy. I'm going to seem less spiritual and magical, a little more rough around the edges.
It definitely is. It's got 48 AC, 315 HP with resist physical 10.
Okay.
It is gargantuan, chaotic neutral, and aquatic and aberration.
Okay.
So its recall knowledge is aberration occult, and that is DC 40. Unspecific lore is 38, and specific lore is 35.
Okay.
I mean, those sound like big numbers, but I don't really have a reference for...
Yeah, we haven't really done level 20 play, so
yeah,
not yet.
Yeah, I mean, we're routinely hitting mid-30s on some of our checks at like late 10s. So.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, I run with the assumption that as long as this creature is common, the numbers you can assume will be relatively balanced. If it's uncommon, you know that the numbers are a little bit higher. If it's rare or then unique, you know it's getting really, really hairy. And this creature is not listed as uncommon, so it's presumed to be common when it comes to this sort of thing.
That's what I figured. Since it didn't have a listing, I assumed it was common.
You'd think with the whole thing where it barely comes to the surface ever, and when it does, it hangs out, that it would at least be uncommon, if not rare. But
yeah, I mean, maybe they just wanted a big turtle they could fuck with.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not going to argue with that.
It's got a swim speed of 80 feet and a land speed of 50 feet.
Mm-hmm.
It has a...
Sorry, it's just like it's so big. It's just like one big stride. It's all it is, right?
Yeah,
it's just like
pretty much
there's a huge
push.
That turtle's got one huge gate.
Yeah, 50-foot gate. It has a language listed here, which I thought was dubious at best, but it is Aklo.
Okay.
Because aberration, I guess.
Yep, that usually pairs up.
Yeah, it has dark vision and imprecise scent for 80 feet.
Okay.
Its stats are all over the place with a strength of 10, a dex of 2, a con of 8, an intelligence of -3, a wisdom of 6, and a charisma of 1.
Okay. So your language sort of comes with that intelligence. Is beast. We talked about beast before. It's basically an animal with a -3 or higher, which usually it means it can reason and possibly speak.
Yeah. We got 3 skills, 41 athletics, plus 31 survival, and plus 31 stealth, and plus 37 survival.
Okay.
Which is too many.
Yes, I mean, I have a hard time imagining why it would use survival, especially underwater. Like
hunting.
I don't know what. Yeah,
tracking its prey.
What's it? It's so big. What's it tracking? Can't it just see everything?
Yeah, probably, but it's only got dark vision. So
yeah, I guess it kind of lines up with its scent in a way.
Yeah, hunting whales.
Why not? What do whales smell like?
All the ones I've smell not good. There was a beached one on the West Coast Trail, like a beach beluga, and it was the worst thing I think I've ever smelled in my life. It had been there for a couple of days already.
I'll just go with it smells like perfume because of ambergris.
Yep, definitely that.
Definitely.
I mean, it smells better than some perfumes, most of them, I think, but it's because I don't care for scents.
I'm pretty sure ambergris stinks, but I don't know.
Probably, but I mean, so does Dracar Noir. People still buy that shit.
This is a scent-free podcast, so
yeah. We vehemently believe that perfumes and colognes should be illegal.
Yeah, neutral only. No stinky, no smell good. Neutral, please. We come from restaurants. It's the way it's got to be.
It affects the flavor of the food.
Yeah, and the drink.
Yep. All right. Their saves are Fortitude 36, Reflex 30, and Will 34. So not crazy, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually thinking, like, the AC seems high in a way, but not. I guess it's basically almost all outer armor, so I guess it makes sense that it's high. But my gut instinct was like, oh, the larger the creature, the more offset it gets because it's easier to actually strike. But I guess it's a matter of that strike going through. But then, I'm not sure. I'm still not sure I agree with the high AC and maybe a higher resistance to physical. It's only resistance 10. That seems pretty low to me.
Resist 10.
But balance, I think, is the issue here. If you're just like throwing resistance 20 on there or 30, then you're gonna start pissing people off.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably not gonna.
And I mean, its dex is only 2, so its
Yeah.
dex would be a lot higher if it was mobile.
Right.
This AC solely reflects the hardness of the shell, I think.
Yeah. And then the saves, the defenses. Yeah, I'm good with those. Ideally, that affects to a degree. It's is reflected, by its size as well, especially the reflex. So I dig it.
But keep in mind that it's got 2 heads, so whatever.
True. Oh, I hope that comes into play. Does it come into play?
It
in
does
the
actually.
Actions here.
It comes into play in its first passive, which is called All Around Vision, which essentially boils down to the fact that it cannot be flanked.
Yes, we've encountered this before on Stemming the Tide. Oh wow! I just totally tied the shows together in a single sentence by mistake. We've encountered this before. Yep, cool. All around vision seems. I mean, I get it, but it just seems. It's presuming one head's always looking around the backside, in a way.
Well, it does have those really long necks, so I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, even as long as one head is sideways and one head is forward, it's going to have pretty solid vision. Snake's vision is only mostly ahead.
Yeah, maybe one head can come into the shell and come out the butt side. We don't know.
Who knows?
Homebrew.
Its next passive is Attack of Opportunity.
Yep. Okay.
Next passive is called Double Opportunity, which means it has an extra reaction per round that can only be used for Attack of Opportunities. It has to be with a different head, and it must be from a different triggering action.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I've seen similar things to that before, big time. So it still has 2 attacks of opportunity, so long as it's from separate heads. They word it in such a way so that you can't kind of fuck with the system. But it also, like, if you read it wrong, it makes it sound like one reaction can't attack of opportunity, but it's not the case.
No. That's why it's called Double Opportunity.
Yeah, there are other reactions that are probably not in the stat block that could exist for the Baomal in some capacity, and then that becomes important to note.
Yeah.
You've done that one, but you can still attack of opportunity, which is great.
Yeah, the next one is called Psychic Static Aura. This is the Aura, Divination, Mental, and Occult traits. It is 120 feet. All creatures except for aberrations that start their turn in that aura take 5d6 mental damage.
Damn.
Yep.
Auras are the bane of my existence. You know this. I cannot, for the life of me, keep track of them. The next time we come across one, I have to just put it on all of your feet. I guess I can't I can't seem to figure it out. That's good though.
Yeah.
I love that it's just like damage. Maybe that's an incentive. Maybe that's what I need. It was like, oh,
Yeah,
damage
for
I'll
sure.
go with that.
It's clean and easy, and it's if they
Yeah.
start in the aura and it's 120 feet, so they're gonna
So
start
they're
in
always
the aura.
so every time you start your turn,
Yeah.
take 5d6.
Kind
Keep
of,
going.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
no save listed
No save.
whatsoever, so
Yeah,
just
that's wild. Yeah,
goodbye.
love it.
And its last ability is called Two Heads. Any ability that would sever the head, such as Vorpal, severs one head at random. Losing one head doesn't kill the Baomal, but it loses its double opportunity ability.
Okay, cool. That, I mean, makes sense. Double opportunity. I love that it doesn't die. This is like, I was really hoping this was the case because that's right out of the Etten, stuff, right? So covered Etten a long time ago in 5e. I love the 2e stat block as well. Maybe we'll revisit that one day. It's a little short clip, but yeah, I love that idea. Like you can't just kill it. Although it would really suck if one of these happened to be like the turtle you showed me, where one's dominant and one's along for the ride, but you chop the dominant one off because it's like, what do I do now? Does he suddenly gain control of the nervous system?
Well, there's no evidence to suggest that it's just along for the ride. The evidence is just that one is more dominant, not
more
that,
dominant. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you've
if the
my
right
joke.
one
Thank
wants
you.
to go right, it's going to be a fight, but they're going right-ish.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. There'll always be a lean.
Yeah, kind of.
It's like when you don't have your wheels aligned in your car.
Right. And then it's got a couple of attacks here. The first one is a single action Jaws, 38, 33, 28. Has a 20-foot reach, 4d12 plus 18 piercing, and improved grab. So just you're grabbed if it wants to spend the action.
Mm-hmm.
Next one is a ranged attack. It is called Tsunami Jet, 38, 33, 28. This is a brutal ranged attack, which I hadn't seen before. So that means they can add their strength to the attack roll as opposed to their dexterity.
Only monsters get a ranged strength attack. Players so far are unable to acquire it, which I've seen a lot of complaints on Reddit. It's just funny.
I kind of dig it, actually.
Yeah.
Other than like throne stuff, I still think throne should be your strength modifier, but that's fine.
Yes. It still is to the damage. It's just not to the attack roll.
Yeah, I think it should be to the attack roll, but that's fine. That's not a huge complaint. The range on this is 500 feet. It is 4d10 plus 18 bludgeoning and push 40 feet. So that's not an action to push 40 feet. That is, you are pushed 40 feet.
You just get pushed 40 feet. Damn. That's brutal. And so this is a single attack. It's an action.
Yep.
And yeah. Okay. All right. Crazy.
Yeah, and then it has a final single
Where
ability.
is the tsunami jet shooting from? Is this like from its mouth? Would you presume?
I would presume yes, or it's flippers. Whoosh, just
Or
like
it's
clapping
flippers.
like the Incredible Hulk.
Or its rear mouth? Head on the other
Yeah,
side. Homebrew.
I wasn't going to take it there.
That's what you got me for.
Yep.
Tsunami crop dust. I'm a small child, I know.
And its last single action is called Breath of the Sea. This has the attack trait, even though it's not an attack. All creatures, including ships within 60 feet, are pulled towards the Baomal. It is a DC 42 athletics save, or you're pulled 20 feet closer to it, 40 feet on a critical sail, and any ships caught in place can use sailing lore in place of athletics.
Okay, cool. All creatures, including ships. That's awesome. It's really, this is just a given, or a pull and a push kind of thing, a give and take creature. It's just going to pull you in, then smack you out and just pull you back in again. You're like, oh my God, am I fighting the ocean right now? This is ridiculous.
Kind of, yeah.
That's terrifying.
And based on the name of this Breath of the Sea, I'm assuming Tsunami Jet also comes out of the mouth because it just pulls in a bunch of water and then spits that shit back out.
I think that's a fair assumption, yes.
Yeah. And then its last attack here is a 2 action. It is called Two-Headed Strike. It strikes with each set of jaws against a different creature, and it counts as 1 attack for the multiple attack penalty. Multiple attack penalty doesn't increase until after both attacks.
Oh, neat. Okay, that's pretty cool.
So two-headed strike, and then grabbed. Or Tsunami Jet. Fuck it, because it's only at a 33 instead of a 28.
Yeah. You'll often see ones that are you attack multiple times, but the map doesn't trigger until after. But for a multiple attacks to only calculate it for 1 as well, that I think that's kind of a rare combo. That's pretty neat. Pretty neat.
Yeah, I feel like I did that right.
Yeah.
Count as 1 strike. And then the last one here is a movement. It is 1 action. It's called Shell Rake. So it swims along the side of a vessel, and each creature on board during its movement takes 6d6 slashing. Each creature or the ship during its movement takes 6d6 plus 10 slashing and piercing with a DC 42 basic reflex save. If this is a vessel, the Shell Rake ignores the first 5 hardness and creates an explosion of splinters that deals 3d6 plus 5 to every creature within 10 feet of the deck's edge. DC 42 basic reflex save.
Oh man, this is that scene where you're like you're aboard a reasonably sized ship, taking passage, and it gets attacked, and like you're watching the majority of the crew go down to like flying bits of wood and complete mayhem and chaos. That's amazing. That is an awesome ability.
I really like that one. There are a couple of creatures that I've got in the pipe where they have these movement abilities that actually just hurt people, and this is the first one, and I think they're really cool.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time imagining this creature being a level 20 fight, and more of like a something that's going to fuck up your progress, and or you are lucky enough at a lower level, if not only slightly lower, to be a part of like a hunt for it or something, and you have ships with these massive like grappling guns on them and harpoon guns and stuff, and get to sort of see it get taken down and take part with like using ridiculous like mechanical weaponry, not your own swords kind of thing.
Right.
But what I love about this list of like actions is you kind of have so many options. It'd be easy to get a little bit like, oh, what do I do next? What do I do next? Because you can draw everyone in, which is neat. But then once they're in, you can, bite once and you've got them grabbed for free. And then you can, shell rake, I guess, or do a jet burst on one of them. And then the next turn you could 2-headed strike and jet burst another one. And that's there's a lot going on there. It's really fun.
Yep. Breath of the Sea, Shell Rake, Tsunami Jet, and you're done. And you've essentially sunk a ship.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. Crazy shit. But that is it for the mechanics. There's a lot of good shit there, and that will bring us squarely into the last segment of the show.
Homebrew.
As far as homebrew goes, I don't have a lot that I would change. Like you mentioned just before, the attack range and its range of abilities is so good that I don't feel like I need to change anything there. I do like the idea of this creature being responsible for like this is the culmination of your adventure. Like you start the adventure on a boat in a storm, and then the boat gets raked, and as you're sinking, this thing comes out of the darkness and starts eating your crew, and then it's the 4 PCs and a couple of NPCs that wash up on a desert island, and then you've got this like hex crawl, but the whole idea is to get either back to land or to kill this Baomal who's like keeping you trapped on the island until you're high enough level to take it on.
Yeah. You just sort of popped an idea into my head where I'm like, I want a desert sand version of this.
Like a tremor?
That pops out of a sand dune or something. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know what I would even add to that, to the stat block for it. I just think it would be really fun. But yeah, I don't have much either. I think it's pretty cool. As just like I said, I see this as a sort of a big epic group kind of siege machine fight kind of thing happening. I have a hard time imagining it. Although it would be fun. We have some upcoming new character ancestries. One of which is Minotaur, which ought to be a large creature. I don't think they've confirmed it, but it's supposed to be a large creature, which is the first large ancestry available. Which means possibly if they have whatever that feat is that allows you to grapple things up to 2 sizes larger than you. 2 sizes
like Titan Wrestler. Yeah.
I think maybe they could grab this thing. Rules as written.
I guess, yeah.
It would be interesting. That would be very interesting. But good luck if that ever happens, Gems. Good luck trying to describe how the Minotaur has grappled this thing from the deck of a boat. But
right. That's like just the strength difference there. Like it's got a plus 41 to its athletics. Yeah. That is a plus 41. Mm-hmm. That is a lot. I mean, I've never made a 20th level large PC, but that feels like way too much for even a large PC to handle.
So maybe it's
at a crit fail, or like I guess just above a crit fail, it's a 43 DC 43.
Yeah. Maybe by design it just can't happen. Maybe Paizo had that sort of foresight. I don't know what the highest athletics bonus can possibly be for a player off the top of my head, but
right. But that makes its athletics DC 51.
Right. So they would have to, if they rolled a natural 20, it would still have to result in at least a 51 for it to be a critical success. Or or 41. No, I can't do math right now. Don't make me do math. That's not my thing.
Well, a success would be 51. So you would need to roll. You would need to have a plus 30 to your roll. 30 plus 31 to your athletics. Right.
Right.
I think.
But you also
that would just be a critical.
But that would be on a natural 20, which would make it a critical success. Yeah. So if you can still technically roll a failure and then hit a natural 20 and turn it into a normal success. That's the thing, right? So whatever that number needs to be, it still seems pretty high, but maybe it's not unachievable.
No, I think we're looking at a plus 32 to your athletics in order to get a critical success on this thing. But to just get a regular success, I guess a plus 21.
Yeah, I would. I mean, we're sitting here trying to crunch the numbers, but I would honestly probably as a GM say no. You can't get your one. How is this thing possibly going to be flat-footed by you not having your arms around its neck because you can't reach that far? Like it just doesn't make sense. So I think it's one of those rules is written, maybe it's possible, but rules is intended or GM discretion. It's like, that's not realistic, right? You haven't just grabbed on to one end of the flipper and now it's flat-footed. It's just not a thing.
Rules is written for Titan Wrestler. If you're legendary in athletics, it's up to 3 sizes larger. So a medium creature could technically do this.
No. I guess my homebrew for this creature would be to discourage my players for doing something that's too silly.
Yeah. Anytime anybody rolls a recall knowledge, first is don't try to grapple it.
I don't care what the rules say. Don't do it. I'm not going to let it happen.
just not happening.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to be that close to this creature.
If you successfully manage to grapple this creature, the caveat will be I will homebrew a new ability into it. It'll be called Flipper Flip. And you will go skyrocketing into the air and then fall and take massive falling damage when you smack the water. So enjoy.
Makes sense to me. Okay.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I got nothing else. So that brings us to the outro dance that we do. You know, Patreon in the links below. $5 will get you a handwritten thank you letter and a theme button. $10 a month will let you suggest a creature. We have a couple of those coming down the pipe very shortly, which is very exciting. That'll get us caught up on our backlog. So if you want to make sure that we cover a creature like I don't know, maybe do the 2E etant, you can absolutely make sure that happens. If you want some cool Critty merch, including these sweet dad caps, you can find those at unchartednorth.com/shop. There's a link at the header of our website. Again, links in the description below, as well as all of our socials. If you're on YouTube, they've been scrolling down below us. If you're on Anchor, you can find them all in the description. If you are, yeah, that's fine for now. Rate and review and subscribe if you haven't on all your platforms, because that does really help. But most importantly, show up in another 2 weeks for the next episode.
Provided you don't get lost at sea.
And if you don't, we will be seeing you in 2 weeks.
Until next time, creatures, thanks, as always, for listening to Encounter This.